I know we've done a couple of these webinars before. We also have sales materials out there explaining the application a little bit, but we want to kick it off a little bit with what's our latest functionality, what we added over the last 2 months, do a quick walkthrough of the application, and then spend some of the time towards the end just open it up for questions and just provide a preview of what's coming next on the release for November. So getting right into it, on my screen, you're going to be seeing basically two versions of our application. And the reason we have two versions is we just released Intune and we've been approved by Microsoft as a certified Intune application, which really helps companies implement mobile device management and mobile application management. So I'll explain that in a bit. Just going back to one of Allison's comments, you can find our applications on both the Android store and the Apple store. So you can find it as Clarity Express and Clarity Express for Intune. So as Allison mentioned, it's free for use for everybody. So going back to my desktop here, I'm going to start with the Intune version. So I'm going to open that one right away. And basically, the Intune version is intended for company-wide rollouts. And what this does is integrates with Microsoft's Intune portal. So by integrating with Intune portal, you can see on the lower part of the screen, it detects where I enrolled to Intune. So I'm basically using one of our Rego test accounts to be enrolled. And because we're enrolled, what that's going to allow organizations to do is, number one, you can apply security controls. You can protect the application with a PIN number or biometrics or MFA so that it can only be opened with the device being unlocked and an extra security measure with that PIN or that extra security that's going to prompt you for. And on top of that, we're also allowing organizations to control the configuration on the application itself. So right now, we are providing two features. The first feature is organizations can control the URLs available to your end users. So in case you want to restrict certain users to only the production environment, or if you have multiple environments like I'm showing here on screen, it's going to come off as a pop-up or a drop-down where they can only select those that you're providing to them, or you can open it up so they can type in any given URL. And then you can also restrict users from enforcing authentication methods into the application. So for example, here, I can toggle between single sign-on and non-single sign-on on my application. But if you wanted to force users to single sign-on only, if you are a GCP environment, if you're an AWS hosted environment, that's going to allow you to force them into single sign-on no matter what. So it's an extra layer of security for your application, right? Now, for the remaining of the demo, I'm actually going to go to what we call the base version. So the base version does not have any Intune controls on it. As an organization, you will be able to restrict your users from using one or the other accordingly. So that way, if you decide to roll out Intune, you can restrict users from using the base version, and that way they cannot work around your security controls, right?
So Luis, what we're really saying is organizations can really pick the tool that works best for them, and that fits with their security standards, right?
That's exactly it.
Perfect. Love
and
it.
On top of that,
they can keep their SecOps people happy, is what we're saying.
That's exactly it. And on top of that, because we support single sign-on, even if you don't use the Intune version, if you have MFA or one-time tokens or similar on your single sign-on today with Clarity, that's still going to be respected by our application, right? So getting into the application itself, I'm going to open the main menu here on the upper left corner. And you can see we have a handful of modules. We are basically calling them modules on our application. So you have My Workspace, which is the one we're going to be starting with. Then we have investments. We support timesheets and custom objects as well. All the way down, there's some high-level settings. Basically, our application supports personalizations, and it can remember URLs and similar. So at any point, a user can go ahead and clear those. And then all the way down, a couple of helpful links to our help, to details and versioning on our application, and then you can go ahead and sign out and switch accounts as needed as you're using the application as well. Now, at any given point, you can select any of these modules and make them your home screen. So you can see that on the upper right corner, and that's what the home menu option on the application means. So it's just, you can set any of the modules, you can set your current timesheet, you can set a given investment, and each time you open the application, it's going to automatically land on that page, right? So it's just a nice navigation feature. Now, starting with my workspace is intended to be a nice landing page, especially if you're using checklist, if you're using smart list, if you're using action items. We're also adding notifications on the next release, and all of them are going to be accessible via the My Workspace section. So starting off left to right, you can see on the lower section that we have our menu within the module to navigate between the different options that each module is going to offer. So you're going to see similar navigation throughout the application. You're also going to see similar functionality throughout the application. So we're always going to have context-based options on the upper right corner. For example, here I have a plus sign for checklist, and I can go ahead and create a new checklist. So I'm gonna go ahead and type down a nice name to it. Oops, sorry about that. There we go. So once I create that, you can see that my checklist just appeared all the way down. As you're using the checklist list throughout the application, you're gonna get search boxes. So you can always go here and type up any given keyword you wanna look for. And then below the search bar, you're always going to get filter options. For example, because we're talking checklist, I can switch between open and completed checklist. I can also go ahead and sort my checklist if I wanted to do that. I'm just gonna remove the filter here, go back to my full list. And then when it comes to checklists, you're going to be able to see the owner of the checklist or their avatar on the right side. So in this case, my user is called Clarity Express. And then at any point, I can actually toggle a given checklist and just mark the checklist as completed, and that's gonna go into the completed section. We also support investment-based checklists, so it will show you a list of all the checklists across your application. And then if you go into a checklist, you're going to get the same search bar, you're going to get the corresponding filters, and then all the way up on the right, you will always get that context menu to perform actions on the screen that you're currently on. So I can come here, click plus, and I can create a quick item here. So I'm going to submit this item. Similar to the checklist, I have the toggle on the left side to mark a to-do item as complete or not. If I open that to-do, we have similar functionality to the web version of the application. I can go ahead, set a due date. I can go ahead and set an owner, and then you get the rest of the fields as well. And then I can go ahead, click all the way down, and just save my changes. So now, as you're modifying your to-do, you can see that the cards display additional information. The same happens if I go back into my to-do and I say, you know what, I'm going to block this to-do, and I'm going to go ahead and save it again. So now you can see now it's blocked, and it's also showing the block reason, right? So really similar functionality to the web UI. It's intended for you to be able to update your checklist and your to-do items on the fly. Along with that, just parity with the web application, we can go ahead and edit the checklist properties itself. And on top of that, we can also go ahead and share this checklist with additional users if we wanted, which is similar to the web version of Clarity. Right? So fairly simple, but it's basically the same functionality that Clarity provides. In a similar fashion, a lot of organizations using the workspace on the Clarity application, they get access to smart lists as well. As of today, what we're supporting is you can see your existing smart list. You cannot create smart lists yet through the application, but anything you create on the web UI will be reflected here, and then you can easily navigate to those. For example, I can open all to-dos, and you get similar functionality that you get on the checklist to-do list. And then finally, we basically have action items all the way down to the right. So action items will give you the same functionality as the web UI. On the left, you can see the priority. You can see the action item title. If you expand the action item, you'll get the description. And in this case, because I'm looking at closed action items, I can see that this action item was approved. If it were open or pending, I can click on it, becomes a drop-down, and I can choose the corresponding status. So, Alison, before we switch gears to the next module, any comments, feedback on your side?
There's not any questions coming in, but isn't it so cool? I mean, I love the fact that we've really made so much of the application accessible through the app that I know for me personally, I used it this morning. I was stuck in traffic and it was a great time for me to check on the status on some of the things that my team and I are working on. So I'm a huge fan. It's not just a timesheet. So love it.
Thank you, Alison. So now that you mentioned timesheets, moving on to the next module, I'm actually going to go into timesheet itself. And the reason I want to go to that one first is because we have a similar experience to the web UI, and you can grab your timesheet list. You can go to a current timesheet, but we also want to improve the user experience on the field. So we have some extra features that are available on the lower menu all the way to the right, which is our quick add. But this is also available throughout investments, and we're gonna demo that in a bit. So for timesheets, you're basically going to get access to any timesheets that you have access to. So it's not only your timesheets, but if you're an approver or a resource manager or similar, you're going to be able to see those. Depending on the size of your screen, you can always toggle the filters here on the upper right corner. So that's going to help recover some of the real estate space. And then like any other screen throughout the application, if timesheets is the main reason why you're using our mobile application, you can always make it the home screen. And whenever you open the application, it's going to land directly on there, right? Now, as we get into more advanced grids and lists, the filter experience is going to change as well. So you can see here, I have these small tokens or blue bubbles with my current filters. At any point, you can click on those, modify the filter or remove the filter. And then if you click on the filter icon right next to the search box, we actually allow users to add additional fields or filters to either the filters or the grid views themselves. And whenever you do a change here, we don't support clarity views just yet, but the application does save these on your application as a personalization. So whenever you set a filter, it's going to remember that filter next time you come into the application. Now, when you go into timesheets, you are basically going to be able to modify timesheets, approve them, reject them, create adjustments as well. I'm going to grab this one for November 11. There we go. So when you're modifying a timesheet, you're going to get, number one, a period browse all the way up. So without going back to the list, I can actually navigate the periods for this specific resource. You're going to get the similar widgets that you get in the web application, just an hour counter and how much of your time is going against projects or non-project CITs. You're going to get, if it's an adjustment, a drop-down with all your previous versions in case you want to toggle back and forth between them. For example, this is the previous one that was submitted. And if I go back to the current one, that's my open one right there. So here, similar to the Clarity web UI, you have a small trash bin icon right next to the adjustments in case you made an adjustment by accident and you want to remove it. And then you have the notes section where you can add notes to the timesheet itself, and they're gonna show up here. Or you can add notes to a given time entry or a task itself, and you can do the same. And then you can collapse these sections in case you have too many notes, and then you get small counters on each one of them that you can easily expand to see the notes themselves. right? Similar fashion to the web UI, if you were the creator of the note, you can always go ahead and modify a note if you wanted. And then next to notes, you can go ahead and submit the timesheet or adjust or return or approve depending on the status of the timesheet. Now, as far as that timesheet itself, we took a little bit of a different approach than the web UI that shows you one column per day. We're assuming people are going to use this on the field. So at any point, I'm just going to collapse a couple of tasks here. You basically get a header for each day. So you can see Monday on Monday 11 there, how many hours I have for that day. And then you have your investments below each one of the days. So when you're modifying a timesheet, you can expand the investment, you can expand a given task, and then you get these really mobile-friendly controls where you can easily add hours or minutes to your timesheet. You can also go ahead and click on the number itself in case you want to do a specific number. So I can do 8 hours here. I can go ahead and add additional notes to the specific time entry. I can go ahead and delete the time entry itself. It's currently disabled because I'm on an adjustment. Or if you're using charge codes or input type codes, or if you want to split this task, you can click copy, and it's the same copy feature you get on the web UI. Now, as you're modifying your timesheet, let's grab another task here, and you start adding hours, the widget all the way up is going to automatically update. You can easily scroll up and down to see any time entries you modified because the card remains expanded. And then you can go ahead and click Save All on the upper right side, and that automatically saves all your changes to the current timesheet. So now I have my latest hours here. And then once you're done, you can go ahead and submit. You're gonna get a prompt here. If you have the timesheet submission affirmation enabled on Modern UX, it's gonna show your custom message here. Along with that, if you are using timesheet validation rules or similar, our application is going to respect that as well, so that timesheet might get returned if I go over or similar, and then you can go ahead and submit the timesheet. So you can now see that my timesheet now allows me to return it because I have enough permissions to do that accordingly, right? So besides that, some extra features or navigation features that we have on our application, you have this current timesheet option, which is always going to send you to a timesheet for this week. And the nice thing about this one is you can make it your homepage. So that way, whenever I close the application, go back here, I'm on the field, I want to quick add a task, I can go directly into my current timesheet. And then I'm just going to go ahead and delete my tasks from my current period, because another nice feature that we support is we support the same populate options that you might have enabled in your environment. And then we can also go ahead and easily add any tasks, and we provide filtering for that, so you can search all the way up. Similar to the web UI, you can collapse the investments. I'm going to select a couple of tasks here. You can multi-select. I'm going to go ahead and add them, and then they become available here on my timesheet. Right? And then you get the same functionality. Because they're all new, they all go into edit mode, so I can easily scroll up and down and add some time to my timesheet and click Save All right here. Now, the last feature I wanted to show you on timesheets is our Quick Add option. So the nice thing about Quick Add is we're intending this to behave as a widget. It's available to be set at the home screen. It's also available throughout investments, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But the nice thing about Quick Add is an extra option for people on the field to easily go to a section, and instead of interacting with the whole timesheet, you just go to Quick Add, you select a specific investment, you go ahead and select the corresponding task, you add your hours, you go ahead and add notes as well. And this is going to apply to any given day that you choose. I'm choosing November 5th here. And then I can click Save. It's going to give me a quick confirmation. If I go over here, I can actually see there's my Quick Add note, and it added that task to the timesheet accordingly, right? So, Alison, once again back to you before I switch over to the next module.
Well, so far so good on questions. We're not getting a whole bunch, but yeah, this is just again so simple, so clean. Obviously, you've got a lot of timesheet entries on this one, but certainly for folks who are even just doing like agile type work or keep the lights on type work, it's just could be simple, easy, and let them to get in, be focused, get their work done, and be done. So I think it's just a great capability.
Thank you, Alison. So, moving on to the next one. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the investment section now. So we actually support projects, ideas, and custom CITs. The three of them have the same functionality. The main difference is if I go into CITs, you're gonna have this landing page first, where you choose your CIT, and then you go into the list view and the properties view for that CIT. And then if I go to projects or ideas, I just get directly into the grid view for those investments. Now, similar fashion to anything else, all the way up on the right, you have your context menu. So I have the plus button to add a new investment. I have my filter toggle to recover some of my real estate. And this is where our quick add feature for timesheets becomes a really nice addition on the application. So if I'm navigating to any given investment, if I'm on any given task, you get this quick add, and you can add time to your timesheet as you're navigating, as you're creating a status report, as you're updating your projects, and add time to your projects as well. Now, as you see this quick add widget throughout the application, the nice thing about it is if you open it inside a specific investment or inside a specific task, it's going to automatically select those for you. I'm going to close this for now, and then I'm going to click on the context menu. So a nice thing that we're doing here, because we do not support views, but we support personalizations, is when you have a grid view, you can always click on select grid columns. You can reorganize your columns. So I'm going to move here, start and finish. I'm going to put them on top of manager. Once you're done, you can click save all the way down. You can also remove a column. So I'm going to remove status here. And you can also add new columns by clicking on the icon on the upper right corner. So you have a nice search functionality similar to the web UI. And then maybe I want to see my actuals here. Or I want to see a given field. I'm just going to grab here. Let's grab baseline finish just for fun. So now I'm going to go ahead and save. The first column is going to be the default sort. If you scroll left and right, you keep the first column as reference. So it's nice to have the project name or the project code so you can easily know what record you're looking at as you browse left to right on the other fields. And if at any point you want to change the sort order, you can always click on the column itself on any given column, and that's going to update the search for you, right? So I'm going to go here into one of my projects. And the first thing you're going to see is we still have the quick add time widget on the upper right corner. So if I click on that one, now it has my project pre-selected because it's basically context aware. I'm going to close that right here. On top of that, you can see it actually has a list of modules all the way down. This is actually blueprint aware. So we support blueprints across custom investments, projects, and ideas. It's going to respect the same order of the modules. It's going to respect your default module. In this case, it's tasks. The only thing that we don't support just yet is channels. We do support the out-of-the-box modules. We also support custom objects. For example, here all the way down, I have lessons learned. So as you're navigating an investment or sub-objects, you'll get the same experience. You'll basically get a list view or a grid view of those instances you're looking at. In this case, it's my tasks. If I click into any of them, I get my task properties view. Now, for anything in Clarity that is not blueprint aware, for example, tasks, similar to how the web UI allows you to modify the properties view, what we did here is that if we add any given column to the grid view, for example, I'm going to add charge code here. I'm going to save that. Now, if you go into the properties view, you're going to see I have charge code as well. So that way you can easily support your custom fields and it's going to remember your personalizations.
Well,
Now,
and
go ahead,
Luis, I'm so
Alison.
glad you're pointing that out because I do know that came up at Rego U during one of our sessions where folks wanted charge codes to be visible in the app, and you listened, and they now get it.
Exactly. So along with that, any field type that Clarity supports, except for attachment fields, which we're working on adding right now, you're going to get similar functionality as the web UI. If it's a Boolean, you get the yes no toggle. If it's a lookup, you get the lookup values. You can search on them. You can multi-select or single select if the lookup allows for that. And then you can also click on a numeric field or a date field, and you can easily modify that and save back into your record, right? Along with that, risks, changes, custom objects, for example, lessons learned, are going to behave exactly the same way. You can also do some nice on the field activities. For example, Friday evening, somebody's doing timesheet, you forgot to add them to the project. You can come over to staff and you have the plus icon and you can go ahead and add them into your projects. If you forgot to do your status report, you can also do that on the field. And then if I go over to properties view, it's still blueprint aware at the project level. So you get the same sections that you get on the Clarity Web UI. You can expand them. And then you get to see here, for example, we have some extra functionality on the fields where project name is required. So you get a small star icon or indicator right next to it, right? And then the same applies to the rest of the fields. If I wanted to modify the date, for example, I get a really nice date or calendar control here as well. So along the same lines, like I said, projects, ideas, investments are going to behave the same way. Only difference with investments we already mentioned is I get the list of my CITs, and then I can actually go ahead and modify that CIT itself. But all of them will support out-of-the-box modules, and they will support custom sub-objects as well. So, Alison, anything else on your side before we switch over to custom objects?
There was a really quick question, and we got it hit twice. Basically, folks are asking, with the add tasks rules, like copy previous timesheets with hours. If they've disabled that in the Clarity instance, will the app respect those policies? So basically, if we turned off that I can't copy copy the timesheet from last week with actuals, will that still work in the app?
It will not. Whatever you hide on the web UI as far as populate options, we're going to hide them as well.
Exactly. So it does respect any of your policies in your Clarity instance. The app absorbs those policies and applies them.
Yes, 100%.
Excellent. Thank you. That was one of the only questions, but we got it a couple times. So
Perfect. Okay. Last module here, custom objects. So custom objects, we support custom objects and sub-objects. We feel that's a nice to have on the field functionality. It's really common for organizations to have customized their environment with both CITs and custom objects as well. Similar to CITs, if I go into the custom object list, I'm going to get the list of custom objects I have access to. I can click on them. If you want to skip that extra toggle or that extra click at any point, this is a custom object where you spend most of your time at. You can always go here and set this as a home screen. And then similar functionality to the other components, you have the filter section. We support custom fields as well. In this case, for example, this is a demo company tracker on our demo environment. I can bring over the website of that company. I can bring over additional details. And then similar fashion to any other grid view throughout our application, I can go ahead and add additional filters if I wanted, or use the freeform text-based search box right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and open one of my companies here. Because sub-objects are now blueprint aware on higher versions, we respect it the same. And you can see I have my sections. I can toggle those accordingly. And then if you see all the way down, we have properties. And then I actually have sub-objects for my custom objects. So we're tracking opportunities and contacts for a given company. I can go into those. I can create a new record, go ahead and populate this and save it back. Or similar to any other grid or properties view, I can select additional fields, reorganize them accordingly. In this case, because I'm looking at opportunities, maybe I care about my start date, my description. I'm gonna go ahead and add those, save it up. And similar to a properties view, because I added those two, if I click the plus icon, I can now do my name here. So I'm gonna do a new project. I do not have auto numbering enabled for this one. And you know what? This is a nice opportunity that we're gonna start scoping a couple of weeks from now.
There
Oh,
you go.
and now that's probably a great example of how this respects permissions as well. So
There you
because I'm
go.
using my demo account, I just got rejected by my own system.
That's a great point, though. And I know some of the folks are asking about security. Like you just answered it. You don't have rights to do something. It makes sure you know. It doesn't let you do it. Really respects those rules.
So this pretty much covers all of our modules here. Settings is really basic. Settings is really just intended for troubleshooting purposes. So we have some basic information here in your profile, really easy for you to go into settings and contact your administrator for assistance. We also take any suggestions, we take any bugs or similar. So if you want to click report device to developers, or whenever you get an application error, you're going to have a flyover, you can always contact Rego support as well. And then, as we mentioned earlier, throughout the application, we support personalizations. So at any point, if you want to clear them, if you want to get a fresh start or similar, I can click reset, and that's going to reset all the preferences, all the filters I did throughout the application, right? So I'm going to go back here to my workspace. And then, Alison, do we have any other questions right now?
So far, so good. I think we're answering them all.
Perfect. So that pretty much covers the demo. So we wanted to spend a couple of minutes here just explaining what's coming next.
Excellent. So some roadmap stuff. Good.
Yes.
Oh wait, and we did have one other quick question that came in. Can those list of options be restricted? So if we want only folks to see timesheets, they can only get to timesheets on their phone. Like we can lock them out from being able to get to ideas, for example, or custom objects by user type.
That's a great question. And we actually had that one pop up a couple of times as a recommendation. So the main menu, it is not permission aware right now. So you're always going to be able to see all the options. But if you try to go into any of them and you don't have permissions, you're going to get a friendly error indicating that. The same way I was rejected by permissions when trying to create an instance. So the menu is not dynamic. It's actually on our roadmap, pending to get a date and a release for it. But we will respect any permissions that you have throughout the application.
So good lead in from John Quinn there for you to talk about what's coming next. So
Perfect.
excellent. Thanks, Luis.
So as far as what's next, the most immediate items we're planning on releasing throughout November. We are going to be releasing a notifications module. So under my workspace, you'll get a notifications option. You're going to see any of your modern UX notifications. So if somebody submit a timesheet, if you were waiting on a job to complete, anything that shows up on Modern UX, we're gonna show it here, and that's going to open our roadmap to eventually support just some type of push mechanism so you get notified on your device whenever you get notifications as well, have it be new action items or notifications. We are almost done with status report publishing, so we feel that's another nice on the field functionality to have. Friday evening, end of week, end of month, you forgot your status report, you're going to be able to go into a status report the same way as the web UI. You click preview and you get a PDF you can download and share for approval. And once you click publish, it's going to basically make that status report final and publish the PDF to the attachment field in the status report. Because we have to support attachment fields because of that, we're planning on supporting attachment fields across the application. So if you have attachments anywhere else on an attribute, we're going to support those as well. And then we're also doing some small improvements, bug fixing for timesheets, and we're going to be adding support in timesheets for charge code, for user value fields, and input type code, which was another nice ask during our Rego U event. And that's going to allow you to have, like, if you're using input type code to track overtime or similar, if you're using charge code across your timesheets, we're going to be supporting those as well on the November release.